Have you considered how current events will shape data privacy in the months and years to come? In April of 2020, Edward Snowden claimed in an interview with Vice co-founder Shane Smith that governments are using coronavirus to build the architecture of oppression. Regardless of what you think of Snowden, there's no denying that he has a fascinating perspective on data privacy. Although I initially listened to his autobiography last year, shortly after it was published, this week seems like a great time for another listen. Welcome to Audiobook Reviews in 5. This is Jana, also known as Yana, and today I'm reviewing Permanent Record by Edward Snowden and read by Holter Graham. Wikipedia describes Edward Snowden as an American whistleblower who copied and leaked highly classified information from the National Security Agency in 2013, when he was a Central Intelligence Agency employee and subcontractor. Edward Snowden's memoir, Permanent Record, however, tells a far more interesting story. In the introduction, he insists that the most important thing to him is connection. And that intrigued me because he shied away from sharing anything personal for years. However, this book sheds significant light on who he is and what motivates him. I'm around the same age as Edward Snowden, so personal details he shares around his introduction to computers resonated with me, especially regarding those early dial-up days in the 1990s. Who among us can remember siblings picking up the phone to sever whatever precious connection you had to the internet? On the other hand, what makes his life seem somewhat exotic to me are the details of his family background, which seem totally entrenched in American public service and military life. As a Canadian without that background or experience, this was all very fascinating. Everything I'd read or heard about Snowden before this memoir came out, including details about his career path, his job, and conventional style and mannerisms, seemed at extreme odds to his whistleblower status. But Snowden's anecdotes about homework evasion and initial activities on internet chat boards help illustrate the details of a strikingly unconventional thinker, regardless of his youthful patriotic fervor. Interestingly, on a side note, Snowden says the biggest regret of his life was his reflexive, unquestioning support for the US-led wars following the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and after which he joined the army. He seems to take ownership of this, along with sharing his regrets for some of his immature message board posts from earlier days. As a narrator, Holter Graham captures something of Snowden's personality, but his voice is slightly higher pitched, and it would have been great to hear Snowden read this book himself. But even with that said, this is an easy listen, and Graham's pace keeps a measure of intensity and intrigue in spite of the fact that we all know the actions and outcomes that made Snowden infamous. Permanent Record also holds my attention because Snowden has a sense of humor. The clunky logistics of keeping legacy technology systems on life support, along with secret data storage centers disguised by pineapple farms, are not the stuff of spy thrillers, and that's why it's so real. Snowden's storytelling reveals the all-too-human fumbles and foibles behind the scenes. All told, this is likely the most fascinating memoir ever published by someone under 40. You can't beat the combination of storytelling, historic context, and current relevance. The threats to data privacy and security that Snowden addresses are still disturbingly relevant. And I'm glad he continues to share his perspective, even from Russia. This is a great listen, so check it out. That's all for this episode of Audiobook Reviews in 5. Thanks for listening. If you haven't yet done so, please consider subscribing to my podcast and sharing your ratings on whatever platform you like to use. I look forward to checking in with you all again soon. Please stay safe and be well.